Gundam.tk presents Crossbone Gundam X3. Hey, what's up everybody? Robert184, 2 R's, 2 B's from Gundam.tk. And what's this? I'm sure for anybody who's watched this site, well, probably even more than once, you guys know that I'm all about the Gundam plastic models, and I don't really care for the toys, and it's not that I don't care for them, it's just the models are more fun for me, so I don't buy them very often. But every once in a while there's a mobile suit that I really like that they don't have a model of. So it was time to give this a shot. This is the Robot Damashii, or Damashii Crossbone Gundam X3. Now, as mentioned, this is my first time to do a toy review, so there's a lot of great toy reviewers out there, so make sure you go check them out. But this is coming from a sort of Gundam plastic model perspective. But anyway, let's get on with the show. This kit came out in 2010 and it sells for the price of 3,150 Japanese yen. And I had to look all over the box, and they don't bother to write that down for you. In the series Robot Damashii, it is number 64, and it is from Side Mobile Suit. For a look around the box, I do sort of like that they just have a shot of the toy itself on the side. They look really cool when they're in shops and they're all displayed like that. And in the back we have a pretty cool action shot of the X3. Here we have the Muramasa blaster. Anyway, it doesn't use the beam Zambar. And here we've got the pink beam effect parts, and you've got them in both sides or just in one. Here he's got the knives in hand, beam sabers, and it's got something that the Crossbone Gundam full cloth model doesn't come with. It's got an extending point to go at the end of the Muramasa. But anyway, something that I really noticed is I like that they don't touch these toys up, and this is exactly how it looks there. And the real reason you can see it is because on the skull and crossbones on the sword here, yeah, they just have big, ugly white eyes, so that's just calling out for a one-point touch from a Gundam marker, similar to what they did on the chest. But it's time to get this cracked open and take a look at what's inside. So when you pop it out of the packaging, nothing else left inside. Yeah, that's what I prop it up on. Yeah, I have to give them props for the attractiveness of the packaging. When you pop it out, everything is neatly and nicely displayed and ready to use, it looks like. So anyway, of course, we're going to have the Gundam. You're going to get 4 extra manipulators there, so 3 pairs in total. You're going to have a totally different head. This is with the mouth open for the angry, let's in, take some energy, and then blast everybody. Here we've got the Muramasa blaster. We can put in both or just one of the pink parts there. You do have the classic Crossbone Gundam sword, beam sword there. This goes at the end of the blaster, and here we have 2 beam sabers and 2 knives. And then, of course, these are just going to plug in to make the X that goes on the back of the Crossbone Gundam X3, in this case. Thought I'd take a look at the parts first. So first we're going to have the Muramasa blaster. And so this is a gun and a beam sword, and what is awesome, of course, about this as a beam sword is that it's going to have 14 beam sabers pop out, so 7 aside, which is just great. In terms of color applications, they've just got some gold down here on the hilt, and they've got some blue down here. Of course, this is the blue that matches the X3, which is different than the X1. Like I said, they didn't fill in the eyes, and on the other side, what do you get? Wow, nothing. Too cheap to put any paint over there. It looks like there's lots of places that you could put on lining if you chose to. As far as this is identical. Both sides are identical. So if you plug it in, you just sort of put that in there. It seems to fit better than the model, to the best of my knowledge there. And that looks pretty awesome, especially when you put on both sides, but I'll save that for after. Here we have the Crossbone Gundam's trademark weapons. Of course, this isn't really the case for the X3, but it's still cool that they include it. So first we're going to have the beam Zambar, and this is sort of cool. You've got a awesome pink blade on there, large size, comically oversized there, and you can pop this part off as well. And when you've got that done, what you can do is you can take this and plug it into here, and then you're going to get the Zan Buster, which is pretty cool. Good job with the paint applications here, gold all around. You can put some lining on there if you want. I should also note that the weapons all have pegs here, so you can plug these into the side skirts and have them mounted on the hips when they're not in use. The knives are a little bit cool, and I remember building my Master Grade Strike and being completely unimpressed with them, but these are pretty good just because of the fact that they give you the 2 colors, and they've got things like the perforated edge, and it looks sharp and, yeah, pretty much all knifey. The beam sabers are absolutely nothing to write home about. Looks like you could put a little bit of lining down there on the hilt if you want. And here it is compared to the beam Zambar in terms of length, just to give you an idea there. and you do get 2 beam sabers. Very, very simple for the thrusters on the back. You're just going to hook those on, gray underneath, and a little bit of gold trim on there. So simple, but effective and clean looking. For manipulators, you're going to get the holding weapons hands. You're going to get the open, outstretched hand of peace or hope or longing or whatever, and the closed fists that come attached when you take it out of the package. Now finally, at the end of the Muramasa blaster, when you attach on this effect part, which as I said didn't come with the gunpla, here you're going to get a huge weapon. It doubles the length of it, and just to give you an idea, here's the length of the beam saber compared to this extension. There was a manual inside the box, and it's a whopping, yeah, that's about it, and it was folded up. Anyway, you've got the Muramasa blaster. It shows you how to put the things on the back, how to get the eye field hands in place, just put in the open palms, and how to transverse the Zan Buster, etc. Put the knives in. You can put the hilts in the legs, and attach the blaster or in sword mode. But enough of the parts, it's time to look at the Gundam itself. And the overall effect to me, besides the fact that it's a pretty small figure, is good. The proportions are good, and the simplicity, if you can say that about the robot Damashii line, is very apparent here. There's no lining, there's not a lot of overwork, especially if you compare it to mid-90s kits or something like that. This just comes across as being simple, but it's got all the main color apps that I would expect and hope for here. So what about things like posability? Well, first thing I noticed is that these feet here, they move a lot, which means it's actually hard to get them lined up. This isn't a natural resting position. So sometimes when he's standing, he ends up just standing like this on the flat part of his feet, which I found to be a little bit annoying. You can see that the joint is in there, so it's got a double ball joint. The ankle armor here just moves around. You don't get to move the fins on the back, which is somewhat disappointing. In terms of the knee bend, you're able to bend them this much and more, so you're going to get almost a 180 there. The front skirt armor is independent moving, so you can move the left or right. I already popped that off. Anyway, you'd be able to bring the leg up that far forward and this far off to the side before the side armor gets in the way. In terms of the rest of the upper body, you're able to move it here. It looks like it's got a joint here and here, so no problem moving around the chest, which is pretty cool. The shoulders pivot all the way around, and I wonder if you can take these off. Nope, they're actually locked into place, so don't expect to pop those off like a model. And they rotate here. You've got a 180 bend there on the forearm, which is pretty cool. The eye field generators here open up, and the wrists are on a ball joint. You can't really push them into place, so they're pretty much just going to rock around there. And the head at the top is going to rotate and look up and down, but it's not on a double mechanism, just on a single ball point there. Something that makes the X3 unique from its X1 counterpart is that when you crack this open, you can actually see some parts inside the forearms, which is a nice touch. The thrusters attach on solidly in the back, and of course, though the core fighter doesn't come out like the Master Grade one, these things fall down all the time, and these ones, very solid, stay in place, and you can still pull off those I'm suddenly whooshing off and bending them backwards, or have them forward in the full X with no problem whatsoever. And when you attach on the thrusters, he actually comes across as looking a lot more bulky than he does otherwise, especially when you attach the weapons onto the side of the side skirts. No problem sticking them on there at all. For a height comparison, here it is next to the high grade 144 the 00 Quanta from the 00 movie. And you can see that the Crossbone Gundam is a little bit shorter, especially in the head. The V-fins on the X3 are extraordinarily large for a Gundam, so of course they give it a little bit more height. And when you factor in the X's on the back, well, of course it's a little bit bigger. But overall, the Crossbone Gundam series, they are small along the lines of the F91, considering this is the F97. So it makes sense that, though this isn't perfectly in scale, I'm just going to go ahead and keep calling this 1/144th-ish. So stay tuned for part 2 of the review and see even more poses and the final verdict on this Crossbone X3 Gundam. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like if you do, don't if you don't, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, everybody.